right, folks, what is going on? This is episode 549 of the First and Frame Rate Show. I am Via Baller. Over here, we talk about Georgia Southern Atlanta Falcons football. And today, we're going to talk about the front office because I feel like the front office has done a great job. No references today, no articles or anything. But we're just going to talk about these three guys. And I know it's not just them. Terry Fontenot's already said it's been a collective situation from making the front office the way it is, getting certain personnel in the door, players on the team, and etc. So it's actually phenomenal how well they done things within this 3-year span. I want to talk about that, give you my thoughts and opinions. If this is your first time here, welcome. I can be found on YouTube and Rumble. I'm also on Anchor, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. And I want to thank you guys for the viewership on the podcast yesterday. A lot of people came through, almost doubled, in some cases tripled the viewership that we normally have on the show. It just shows that this channel is growing, and I really appreciate it. Also, I don't think I've looked at all the podcast analytics today, but I saw a couple of them. It was an uptick in the listenership as well. So I really, really appreciate that. Once again, I'm going to tell you guys that I do have something up and coming for the podcast and this channel in general, possibly for my second channel as well, if you want to check that out. I'm still in the works of getting that worked out, but please stand by. I think you guys are going to love it. I'm still working on it. So over the weekend, I'm really going to go in overdrive to fix that. Well, I ain't going to say fix it, but work on it. And I think by the beginning of the week, you guys are going to love it. So please be on the lookout for that. It's in the work. So let's go ahead and get into the show. And the front office, Arthur Smith was hired as coach. Terry Fontenot came in a little bit after, and you saw all the things that, were said. I know you thought that Terry Fontenot was going to come and sabotage the Falcons because he came from the Saints. Arthur Smith knows his offense, but he doesn't know how to coach. Arthur Blank was basically just grabbing at people again, trying to get people in the door to coach the team. It was a lot of talk and speculation, and some of that stuff still hasn't died down since the last two seasons, and it's still there because a lot of people don't think 7-10 is acceptable, which in most cases is not. But when you understand where this team was at and where it was going, you see what they're trying to do. It's been noted at the end of the first season that Terry Fontenot and Arthur Smith was here after the 7-10 season, that they wanted to get rid of Matt Ryan from the get-go. Not to say it in a negative light, but they felt like there was no need to keep Matt Ryan around. They wanted to offload that contract from day one, and they ended up doing it within a trade to the Colts. And all intents and purposes, that looked like a pretty good trade. We got D'Angelo Malone with that trade, and it looked like D'Angelo Malone could be, a cog in the defense going forward. So I think it was a pretty decent trade overall. You also seen some other people that was moved on. Julio Jones, the unfortunate situation with Calvin Ridley, and we brought in, some other players that was on 1-year deals in the second year, which I'll get to in a second. But that first year was kind of weird because we didn't have a wide receiver. Calvin really fell back, and Kyle Pitts, it was his first season. He ended up getting 1,000 yards, and it was a little bittersweet because you saw what we had in the future with Kyle Pitts and a couple of other rookies, but you knew we couldn't maximize what we could do because Matt Ryan was kind of like on the tail end. A couple of other veterans was around that's no longer here. Some other veterans we didn't know if they were going to be here, like Grady Jarrett, Jake Matthews. They end up being pretty much re-signed, and that looks like it was a good deal too. So it was a really good look at the end of the day how things progressed from the first season to the second. For the second season, Matt Ryan was moved to the Colts. Marcus Mariota comes in. You also draft Desmond Ridder in the third round, get Drake London, got a couple of other players, Arnold Ebiketie. Outside of that first group of guys that you drafted from the year one, and then the guys you drafted from year two, you're starting to see what they're trying to do. Unfortunately, we went 7-10 again because, in my opinion, I felt like the quarterback play just was not there. If we had better quarterback play, we could have won 10 games. In my opinion, I wholeheartedly believe that. We could have won 10 games. I think Marcus Mariota just was not the guy. But in the scheme of things, looking back on it now, it was all a big elaborate plan to get Desmond Ridder or whoever other quarterback they drafted, because they was going to draft a quarterback in that situation with Matt Ryan being gone. It was set up for them to put that quarterback in place. So it was kind of like a bridge, a stopgap. So with that being said, Arthur Smith, Terry Fontenot, the brains behind all of this, did very well with moving things from where it was year one to year two. End up still being a 7-10 season, which I feel like we underachieved. Still was able to do some things. The defense played fairly well under Dean Pease. Dean Pease from year one to year two got a lot better. The defense was getting at the quarterback a little bit more. They were doing more things with stunts. The personnel was getting used to the offense. So the front office was actually doing, like I said, some improvements. Now with Dean Pease moved on, we end up getting another defensive coordinator, the defensive line coach from the Saints. I can't remember his name. Please forgive me. I'm sorry. But I made a big video about that. And then once the 7-10 season, well, the second year 7-10 went away, and we ended up, going through the whole motion of free agency, we started to realize that we have money because the Julio Jones contract, the Matt Ryan contract, the restructures of some old contracts from the old regime are off the books. We end up having almost, $60-something million in cap space. You see all the people who we signed, Jonnu Smith, Mike Collins. I just did an episode on him. Mike Anamaya. We end up getting the other linebacker that used to play for the Browns. I can't remember his name. Mike Hughes. We end up getting Jesse Bates. We also I don't even know the whole situation. Calais Campbell, is he coming in? Caden Ellis was another guy. We started getting people that was in here that could fit the mold of what Terry Fontenot and Arthur Smith were trying to do. So with all that, and I think, the other personnel that we brought in, cornerbacks coach, you're starting to see what this team is doing. It's starting to be a makeup of. Yeah, we already know the whole situation that Desmond Ridder is going to be QB1. There's an article on AtlantaFalcons.com where Terry Fontenot explicitly says they're excited about their quarterback situation with Taylor Heineke and QB1 Desmond Ridder. So that's really interesting. There's something going on behind the scenes that I know a lot of us don't know. That there's a possibility that they know that Desmond Ridder has been really, really studying to be the quarterback of this team. And that's what gives them confidence. They wouldn't say that unless they've seen some type of results. You know what I'm saying? I don't think they would sit there and say Desmond Ridder's our guy unless they know what type of work Desmond Ridder is putting in. So that you got to understand there's something there for us to say, like, all right, these guys may be on point. They may be on to something. So with that being said, with everything else that they've done, I don't see why there's not a reason to trust what this front office has done at this point. Even when things didn't look right, when things didn't look, the best, when things looked bleak from the first year to the second year and going into the third year, I think we're starting to see what it is now. We're starting to see that you got a team that's on a mission that has money to spend, and the culture is changing to where now these guys are trying to make a team into their likeness, to their vision, to what they see what is winning football. You bring the personnel in, you bring the players in, and the guys that are coming in to play for this team, they're believing in what they're trying to do. You heard what Matt Collins said. Matt Collins said that, look, he felt like he vibed with the GM and the coach immediately. And the fit for him is exactly what's in Atlanta. He can take his game to the next level from the 57 catches, can probably jump up to 87 catches, 77 catches. And you still going to have a situation with Drake London, who possibly can move up to get more catches and receiving yards this year than he had last year. I think he broke Julio Jones' record for receiving yards as a rookie. I'm not sure, but that's kind of weird because the quarterback that we had. But also you look at a running game like Tyler Algier, who ran for 1,000 yards after really not playing the first 4 games. Coach Arthur Smith sees something with this team. or he knows how to implement personnel on the field. Terry Fontenot has an eye for talent, and he has a way of making people want to come to this team to play. We can sit here and always complain about the certain quarterback that's not going to be on this team. He plays for the Ravens. We don't talk about him. But there's reports now that he's using a fake agent or whatever. Kind of weird. I don't know. I don't care. I love the talent that he has, but I don't think the front office don't want him. And I'm not going to shake my pom-poms and rah-rah for him. I'm just not. But with that being said, I hope he finds happiness wherever team he goes to. I'm not hating on the guy. But nevertheless, what this front office wants, he's not in the cards. And that's okay. I think at this point we should have some type of, I ain't gonna say appreciation, that's too strong of a word. I think we should nod our head and tip our hat to what these guys are doing. Because they're doing something in the right direction. I give them props. I give them a lot of, I give them a lot of accolades for that. Because I didn't think, I can't remember at one time when we were in a situation like this where we have cap money, we're signing players, and we're signing them at good deals, real friendly deals for both sides where they get paid and we're not breaking the bank, and we're still going to be having money for the next season from what I hear, and the next season after that. So the plan is in motion, and then you're starting to see the other side of the plan from the beginning where it looked so dark. Now you're starting to see it come to a little bit more light. But once everything is put together, I think we're going to be happy with this team. And I'm going to be honest with you. Before I close, I'm going to say this. I don't think this is the end game for what Terry Fontenot and Arthur Smith wants for this team. I don't think this one offseason is enough. I think they really want this team to be a long-term franchise contender. And the way they do that is where they started now. I think year 3 is, you can make an argument, year 3 is probably end up like year 1 for this regime. Because they had to weed out a lot of things that they did not want to deal with. What they cleaned up in the last 2 years was not a part of the plan. It's not winning football. It's not the franchise that they want to take on. I think year 3, the way they got things set up, it coming in with a new salary cap when they're in the plus. They're getting players that they want finally because they can spend some money. And you're starting to see that this is the makeup that they want. I feel like this is de facto year 1 for this team. And now you're starting to see what they're possibly going to be doing for years to come. If you like this commentary, hit the like button, share this podcast, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I can be found on YouTube and Rumble, Anchor, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts. Give me a 5-star rating on that Apple Podcast avenue if you haven't already. Any other avenues that you like to listen to, give me a high rating on that. That brings more traffic. If you guys are on the YouTubes or Rumble, give me a thumbs up over there. It helps with the algorithm to where these guys, more people will be able to see the show, and we'll be able to talk more with other people in the comment section. So thank you guys once again. I am still working on that big project over the weekend. Hopefully you guys will be around to check that out. Definitely going to be, I'm going to be excited about it. Hopefully you guys are too. All right, y'all. I'm going to get up out of here. Thank you guys once again. You guys take it easy, and you guys be blessed. Peace.